Hello, I was asked to create a quick recap as to how to find the standard deviation and such in Excel when we have data. I just kind of decided to do an overview of that part, um, mean, median, mode, the whole 9 yards, just to kind of make sure it's all covered. So I'm going to be bringing up my Excel sheet. Just give me a minute to find my button. There it is. So you can see it. And as you can see, what I did is I've entered the data just into a column. I just randomly created some numbers. And I'm going to start with the mean, the median, and the mode, and then I'll move on to the variance and standard deviation. They're all done in a similar manner, but I'm going to kind of walk through them again. So what you're going to want to do is click on a cell. So I'm going to create the mean first right next to it. So I just clicked on the cell next to it. And I'm going to go up to this this little button here. It looks like a F with an X. It is a function button. When you kind of hover over it, you can see that insert function. And Excel has a number of functions in them, and they are all categorized. The most recently used ones tend to be ones that people use all over the place. So it's not something I've done or you've done. It's not like it is recently used by, I guess it is recently used by me. But I'm going to go into where you guys would probably see them. And all of these are going to be housed under the statistical button. And they are alphabetical, except the mean, we have to remember, is our average. When you click on a function, it will give you a brief description as to what it's going to give you. It also kind of tells you how to order. If you were going to type it in, you can type these functions directly in this toolbox. You see that equal button popped up. Anytime Excel sees the equal symbol, it recognizes that as it's going to be doing a function of some sort. So it's going to be acting on information, maybe a mathematical thing or maybe something more involved. But we are going to just click OK. And this is going to be telling me where the numbers are, and it automatically grabbed E1 through E15. However, E15 and E14 are empty. So I'm just going to grab and drag to get my data in there. Notice the E1 through E13 came up. The answer does appear right away. And then I can click OK, and then that number will go into that cell. Okay, I'm going to do that again for the median. So again, I'm going to hit the FX button, and I'm going to scroll down to find median. It will be in the M's. Try not to scroll too fast. There's my median, returns the median, the number in the middle. I'm going to click OK. Again, I'm going to grab my data. So again, double checking to make sure it's doing what I want it to, and it'll spit out my answer. So there's 23. And then I'm going to do my mode. There are a couple of options for the mode. We do have a few here. If I can find them, let me get down to them. We have a mode single and a mode multi. I always use the mode multi because if there's more than one, it will list them. And I'm going to click OK. And again, I'm going to click my data. I also kind of double check to see where my cursor's at, because I do want my cursor to be in my number box up there. So there are a few programs that kind of don't put it where it should be to start. You'll notice that I have more than one mode, which is great. And that's why I do this mode multi. This version of Excel is a little bit better than older versions. They never used to return more than one. They didn't have this multi version. And you'll notice that it does print them vertically. If you want them to create them, to print them horizontally, you'd have to go through another code. And they do tell you that in the description. I think they told you to do a transpose. I just let Excel do what it does and account for it. Let's calculate the variance. Now, if we're going to do the variance of a population, we noticed that our formula was a little different if we were to do it by hand. The variance of a population is the one that's going to be divided by the population size. When we do a sample, we divide by something different. We divide by the number minus that 1. So Excel knows this, and so it does have 2 different functions. So again, I hit the FX button and I'm going to go down to variance, which is down here, V. You'll notice we have a bunch of them. And if you click on the very first one, which is var.p, you'll notice it says it calculates the variance based on the entire population. And that is the one you're going to want to use if you are calculating the variance of a population. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to, again, grab my data and hit OK. I can do the same for the standard deviation. And I'll just put population in abbreviate here. So I'm going to go find my function, again, f of x. Scroll down to find standard deviation. That is going to be STDEV for standard deviation. Again, dot P for the population. And if you were doing a study of some sort, you would know if you had the population or the sample. In our class, it will tell you in the problems, or I will tell you in my problem. So again, we're going to OK that. And you'll notice if you had taken the square root of 77.2 dot, 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 you would have gotten this 8.786 and so forth. I can also do the variance of a sample, just to kind of make sure this video is complete. So the variance of a sample, I'll go all the way down to V, is that var.s. So it says estimates the variance based on a sample. I'm going to click OK, get my data. There's the value. You'll notice it is a little bit smaller or a little bit larger because we would rather overestimate the variance, the variability between people, than underestimate. And we'll see that a little bit later in this course when we start using the variance and standard deviation a little bit more. And that's why we do divide by that n-1, because the variance in a sample is a little biased because we tend to have less variability in our samples than we would in the entire population. Just based on the fact that sometimes samples, we have certain traits that all these people might have. We talked about those in class. So let's finish this off and we'll find the standard deviation of a sample as well. And it's going to be whatever the square root of 83.6 is. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, but we can find it under standard deviation. So here I am scrolling. Standard deviation. So standard deviation dot S for sample. I'm going to click OK. Grab my data and click OK. And you'll notice it is a little larger, not a ton, but just a little bit. And when we do stuff, we will be using the standard deviations more than the variances in the formulas to come. And we do want to make sure that they are usually an overestimate, because as a statistician, we would rather be cautious than not cautious. And we'll talk about that as the class goes on. So hopefully this helped. I will be posting this in our class, so I'm going to stop the recording, and I will see you guys in class.